Today at Manchester Theatres, I have to say I'm the envy of many of my friends because I am here with the hilariously talented Jonathan SAYER, who is currently touring with Mind Mangler, member of the Tragic Circle, which is coming to the Palace Theatre, Manchester from the 15th of May. Now, Jonathan is original member, performer, co-founder and writer for the award-winning Olivier Award winner as well, amongst many, Mischief Theatre, home of the Goes Wrong world. And following on from their successful start with The Play That Goes Wrong, they have toured internationally with shows such as Peter Pan Goes Wrong, a comedy about a bank robbery. We have Magic Goes Wrong, we've got Grown Ups, we have a Christmas Carol Goes Wrong, and the Goes Wrong TV show. And all of it is an absolute breath of fresh air. So thank you for joining us and congratulations on the huge success of everything.
Thank you very much. What an introduction. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's very nice. Cheers.
You're very welcome. Now, I've got to ask you, Jonathan, because I'm so interested that this Mischief came about by, you were all on a drama course together, and you kind of founded, came up with the idea and founded it then. And I'm impressed because it's gone from that to this in massive global phenomenon. And I think back to what I was doing when I was doing drama at uni, and it just was not this. So how has this journey come about?
Well, I suppose a very potted history without prolonging the interview. Yeah, there was a group of us all at drama school, and we all did improv. We loved comedy improv, and kind of all of us joined at different times, but took shows to the Edinburgh Fringe. So my first show was Mischief Movie Night, Lights, Camera, Improvise. And that show did all right, you know, people came to see it, not all the people, but enough in our little 60-seater theatre. And we've just tried to do more and more. And then when we left drama school, Henry and myself, who do a lot of the writing for the company, said, well, wouldn't it be great if, as well as doing improv, we try and write something, and we have a scripted show that we work on, and we really try and write to everyone's strengths. And that's where The Play That Goes Wrong came from. So it started a little pub theatre. Then it played the Trafalgar Studios in central London, which was like 90 seats. Then it went to Edinburgh again, did about 120 seats. And then all of a sudden took a massive jump. We met our producers, Kenny and Mark. And then all of a sudden we were doing it in front of 1,200 people at the Canterbury Marlowe. And we're very lucky, and we've just tried to hold on for dear life, not look back, and keep making work. And you know, we make people laugh, and that's really, really lovely. It's a lovely thing to do. So we've just tried to keep on doing that, basically.
It's phenomenal. We've not long had Peter Pan Goes Wrong in Manchester, just a couple of weeks back. So yeah,
the Opera House, right?
Yeah. So we're all ready for another one of your shows, and this one, it's kind of a spin-off almost from Magic Goes Wrong. It takes some of the characters out of it and places it in this new one. So tell us how it differs to Magic Goes Wrong.
So sure. So Magic Goes Wrong, we wrote with Penn and Teller, the Vegas magicians, which is a whole other interview itself. They're amazing. But we wrote that show, and that was a really traditional magic show, but where, you know, everything goes wrong. Whereas, and in that, there was a mind reading character, mind reader called Keith, who liked to go by the name of Mind Mangler. And he had a stooge who was a pal of his, who, you know, whenever he said, can I get a random member of the audience, it was always me who would come up in a different hat or a different scarf or with a moustache on. And we just found, particularly the Mind Mangler, just such a joy to write from. We kept coming up with, oh, he could do this illusion, he could do this illusion. And then even when that run had stopped, we were still texting each other saying, oh, he should have done this, he could have done this, oh my gosh. And we just thought, we've got to kind of get this out of our system. So we gave him his own show. And I think in his head, it's like Darren Brown, you know, it's a night where psychology and magic meet, and it's super serious. And everyone will be like, oh my God. And that there's moments to gasp and there's moments to be moved. But actually, he's in a very different place than Darren Brown. You find out as it goes along that his kind of personal life's in disarray. He's just going through a complicated divorce. All of his interpersonal relationships are a mess, including with the people who work on the show. And he comes out to do it, and it just slowly goes off track. I'd say the difference is it's not just pure goes wrong. It's not just all the magic goes wrong. Some of the magic,
I was going to say, some goes right
incredibly well, but inadvertently reveals something about his private life that he doesn't want to be revealed, or there's a thing where he tries to read the audience member's mind, but the audience member starts to read his mind. So there's lots of that kind of stuff, but it's all actual magic. So you'll go and you will get good magic, but you'll also, in true Mischief form, get a very, very funny show that all the family can go and see, that has a nice heartwarming end as well at the end.
Oh, so where has so with magic go wrong, you've said that we know, like, as you do, I worked with Penn and Teller, incredible. So for this one, for the more mentalism thing, is it spill over from things that you'd already kind of learned, or did you work with someone else?
So Ben Hart is our magic consultant on this show.
Yes.
And was our magic consultant as well on Magic Goes Wrong. So he came in and tried, practically got a lot of the magic up on its feet. And he was in Britain's Got Talent, but he's just a brilliant magic mind. So he's been on board from the very beginning. Henry Lewis is not a bad magician. He was he came third in Junior Magician of the Year when he was like 14 or something.
I didn't know that.
So he's got a few tricks up his sleeve. And yeah, I think, like, once you're immersed into that world, I would by no means say that I'm a magician or have a magician's mind, but you start to get a sense of, you could do this, and they're the kind of techniques that are employed, and those are the things that you could have fun with. I also think the reason why I find mentalism is particularly good for comedic treatment is a lot of it is just like being bold. Like, it is just like a confidence trick.
Yeah.
And, a lot of it is just like charisma and chutzpah and just kind of almost faking it till you make it. And I think what's quite funny about Mind Mangler is seeing a character do that, but a character who has no charisma and who's slightly angry and miffed off with the audience. So, so you can kind of see the joins, and you can see when he's not so subtly trying to guide you this way, so something can happen over here. So it's just been really, really fun. Really fun.
I love it. And I'm intrigued to know. So we have the goes wrong kind of world, and you've got like your Polytechnic crew, and so it's the regular characters. Obviously, you've got like Dennis, and we've got the director Crispine, and all of this. Yeah. But that didn't go over to Magic Goes Wrong. So therefore, obviously, it's not come through to Mind Mangler. But why was that one different to the other Goes Wrong ones?
It's interesting because a lot of people ask that, and I think that, and people are like, why are you done with those characters? And we were just like, no, because those characters are actors and these characters are magicians. So it wasn't really considered thing. We just thought it would be weird if all of a sudden Robert and Dennis and Crispine and Annie and co were all doing magic, because we were like, well, they're not magicians. So we just wanted to come up with new characters.
Yeah.
And as well, so when we wrote Magic Goes Wrong, we went out to Vegas and we stayed there for like a month and a half or something, and we saw every magic show that's on there, for better and for worse. And there's such a smorgasbord of incredibly interesting characters, and we kind of wanted to bring some of them into our work rather than just push the other characters into that world, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It makes complete sense. And like you say, it probably, when you first go, well, why have they not? But actually, it's quite simple when you said it like that. You think, would I actually buy those characters suddenly doing magic? So yeah, it makes perfect sense what you're saying. Plus, it gives us a whole new avenue of things to go down, like with Mind Mangler. So
I think what's fun as well is that, for example, my character, Steve, is just he's a little more quick-witted than Dennis. I think with this it's helpful because this is it's a smaller cast, and I think it's a much more fun dynamic that Keith, he's not just got kind of Dennis who's just kind of a bit of a wet lettuce and really doesn't understand. He's got someone who's actually sometimes a little quicker to the punch than him. So I think it's a more fun dynamic for the nature of this show, I think.
And does it change? I was going to ask you about that, because there's normally like this big ensemble, and then there's just like 4 of you in this one, isn't there? So does it kind of I mean, of course it changes it, but like you've mentioned there, it kind of gives you a different character dynamic as well. But has it altered the way that you approach stuff? Because I guess there's more pressure with the just being 4, but there's more liberation at the same time.
I hadn't thought of that. Now I feel the pressure. No, so there's 3 of us on stage, and I don't think it's pressure. I think it's just it's funny, isn't it? Because I think one always assumes that there's a load of choice and thought behind stuff, but literally, we really liked doing Mind Mangler. Our little WhatsApp group was just full of Mind Mangler jokes. Henry Lewis particularly loves to do that character, like it makes him very happy, and so it just felt like a natural thing when we went to the Fringe to just do an hour of that. And then that went quite well, and we thought, well, the natural thing now is to try and do a two-act version of that and take it around. And there's not really a sense of pressure. I mean, it's been really, we toured it a bit last year. We've just finished a West End run, and like it's been lovely. It's been really full houses. There's been such a tremendous amount of warmth for the characters, but also for us as performers. And I think a really weird thing is I think that maybe there was an explosion of appreciation for Mischief and for Hen and myself and Shields and all the gang during the lockdown.
Yes.
So it kind of bypassed us that we became a bit recognizable and the TV show had this big following because after episode 2 we went into lockdown, right? So then when the world came back out and we were allowed full houses and stuff, we were like, oh blimey, this has changed. Like people are wearing like homemade Dennis t-shirts and people are like shouting stuff. So it's just a real thrill. I missed doing live theatre a lot. I love it. And then it's such a thrill that people are even more enthusiastic about seeing us now.
And I guess with this one, the audience participation is full on, and it must, like you said, you're all improvisers. It must be an absolute thrill for you to be kept on your toes. You never know what's going to come, really, do you?
It's really fun. And there's like points in the show that have been designed to be a bit kind of choose your own adventure almost. If the audience shout this, then we can go down this route. If the audience shout that, and there's Hen's a phenomenal improviser, but all of we all get to play around with the audience basically. Yeah. So the audience, like in all Mischief shows, the audience can really like impact the action. But I'd say even more so with this one because it impacts the show magically.
Yeah.
But also like narratively and comedically, like it makes there's whole bits that are based entirely on what the audience have said.
And the whole like the concept of things going wrong and things being, you kind of slogan is you're serious about silliness, and it's with the slapstick and this whole vibe. It's so kind of, there's a British feel to it, yet you have absolutely floored the world with these productions. The global sensations. Does our humor, or does your humor translate exactly? Do you have to kind of tweak it as you're taking it around?
So I would say, particularly at the moment, in a time when we're constantly hearing how divided we are and all that kind of stuff, I would say, certainly from my experience of comedy, there's a huge amount that unites us. And I've seen the show in a lot of different countries, and although I don't always understand the language, I know the shows well enough to know the bits that we're up to, and the laughter is pretty much the same. And that's just, I think there's a lot of luck there because we definitely didn't think, well, what can we write that's got a global appeal? Who does that? Who starts? who thinks that? We're just lucky. We wrote a thing to do in a pub because we were out of work actors, and a lot of people have ended up liking it, and I weirdly I've stopped trying to think about why and unpick it. I'm just like, that's what's happened. That's really lovely, and I'm just going to carry on doing the bit that I do well. Like we've just done the show in America. We did Mind Mangler in New York for 3 months, and we did Peter Pan for about 6 months in New York and LA. And I'd say like the mild difference there is I think in the UK we are deliciously we relish people's pain maybe a wee bit more. So we're really happy to just watch someone really die on their ass and just laugh, and like we find failure quite funny, right? Like it is just like, you messed up there. And I think in America, the audiences are more supportive. So there's bits where like it's really grim for Mind Mangler, for Keith. And in the UK, there's some of the biggest laughs, when like his divorce, when like the pictures of his wedding accidentally pop up on the screen and it's awful for him because we know he's divorced. Huge laughs in the UK. In the US, a lot more kind of like you rebuild yourself. You can do it, man. You know, there's just a lot more like support and like you don't need to fail, that kind of atmosphere, which is really interesting because in both environments the work's done well, but there's a totally different texture and tone to it because the jokes just become a little. You know, I think Mischief work is already pretty heartwarming and pretty positive and optimistic, but I think in America it takes on it goes up another step. Whereas here we do like those slightly harsher moments, right? We do like them.
We do. We're a sick bunch.
I think particularly like again coming from Ashton, I think there's more of a sense of humor about that stuff as well. Like I think we're very happy to like laugh at ourselves and shortcomings and stuff, and I think that's why Mischief always tends to go down really well in Manchester.
It really, really does. And I was going to ask before we sort of let you go, is there any kind of backstage plans for a Goes Wrong Show 3 on television, maybe?
We'd love to. It's totally out of our hands. Out of our house. It's never been in our house, but it's totally out of our hands. But we'd love to. You know, just maybe that'll happen in the future. We'll have to wait and see.
Right, well, we need this to happen, people. So whoever it is that makes it happen, make it happen, please. It's been an absolute joy chatting with you, Jonathan. Thank you so much for your time. Cannot wait to come along to the Palace Theatre. It's going to be there from the 15th of May. Come along and let them read your mind.
And as well, it's not a full week. It's the 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th. There's 2 shows, so you've not got all week. So we're selling pretty well. So do pre-book and come along because it's going to be they're going to be really lovely nights. Just before you go, just anecdotally, the Palace Theatre is really special to me because I worked as an usher there for 2 years when I was 18 and 19. So I used to watch. It was when The Producers with Peter Kay was on.
Yeah.
And I remember just being like, oh my God, that stage and performing here, that is the definition of kind of making it and doing what I want to do. So I'm particularly excited because it's my first time performing at the Palace Theatre. And it's genuinely going to be a career highlight. I can't wait. I'm getting quite emotional speaking about it. So do come and watch. Otherwise it'll just be me being emotional in a room.
It will not just be you, that much I can guarantee. That is a fab story. It really is. And it's really, really kind of empowering for all those other people out there who are doing, you know, usher work because they just have to be in a theatre because they love the space and it's what they want to do as well. So thank you for sharing that. That's lovely.
Pleasure. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Thanks for your time.
You too. And we will see you very, very soon.
Very soon. See you later. Bye.
Prepare to be delighted, astounded, and amazed by the power of my mind. Mind. With death-defying stunts, brain-sizzling illusions, and all the props I could comfortably fit in my car. Join me for an evening of magic, wonder, and sophistication. Oh, for God's sake! Who's left out on the chair? All the props are broken.